Okay, thank you. And what time are we at right now, guys?
1:35.
1:35. So can you wave to me at like 1:55?
1:55, yeah.
Or even like 1:52. That'd be perfect. Thank you. Are you ready? Yeah, we're shooting? Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I'm Lauren Atkins. I'm the founder of NYC Web Fest, and I'm excited to do this because I never really like to moderate, but I love that I have like a bit of an insight. And I'm here with my fellow Toronto friends who I know, and I've seen their work already. Congratulations. But if you could please do a brief introduction and just explain also your roles in your projects, please.
Sure.
Kind sir.
Okay. I'm James Stewart. I'm the producer, director, co-creator of Chateau Laurier, which is a period drama set in 1912 Ottawa, which is the nation's capital of Canada. And we've done the second season, and we've been very fortunate to get into festivals like NYC Web Fest. Thank you for having us. It's great to see everybody here tonight. It was shot in June 2021, so in the heart of COVID. We did a period drama with sets and costumes and hair and makeup, and it was a fairly large cast, and it was very difficult to do during COVID. I'm sure everybody experienced the same thing, you know, with masks on and off, but you know, with makeup and masks on and off, and you know, it was very complicated, but we were fortunate in that because of COVID, there was a lot of things available to us, particularly the Century Hotel that we filmed in didn't have weddings and conferences and that kind of thing, so we were fortunate in that we could shoot at the actual Chateau Laurier.
And that's in Ottawa?
Yeah,
yep.
In Ottawa. It's like the Park Plaza. It's like
right.
Most
iconic
big cities have one or more iconic Century Hotel. That's where the show is set at the opening right after the opening of the Chateau Laurier in 1912. And it was always a place, I grew up in Ottawa, so it was always a place that had all kinds of great stories. Celebrities would stay there, people would die there, politicians would do deals there, there were ghosts. It was kind of a crazy center of power and wealth and controversy and wannabe wealth and shysters and hookers and you name it. So that was kind of what inspired the show. There's so many, you know, if the walls could talk, so to speak, you know, it would probably have lots of great stories. So we fictionalized it and set it in the hotel. And we do have ghosts in the show, and there's a murder, and there's a family that fights over control of the hotel. After the patriarch dies, the kids fight over the possession of the hotel, and also the local crime lord who runs Lower Town, which is kind of the seedy part of town. He also has a stake in the hotel, so they all kind of fight over it. It's a lot of fun. A little bit of romance, a little bit of murder, a little bit of humor.
Yes. And yourself, sir?
So I'm Herman Wang. I am the creator of the web series Illuminagents, which is set in a universe where all the conspiracy theories are real. So the setup for the show is that there's a pair of agents. They're just mid-level agents, and their job is to, you know, every episode they have a different conspiracy theory they have to deal with. But their job is essentially to kind of do the dirty work for, you know, the organization behind everything. And part of the writing that we do for the show is that we use real world conspiracy theories for the stories. So like basically like every episode is a different conspiracy theory, but they're all real ones that exist in the world. So of course we cover flat Earth. You know, we do that in the pilot episode. But we cover other things like chemtrails and fake moon landing and Australia is not real, and things like that. So it's kind of a way to gently poke fun at conspiracy theories and also just to do kind of a, you know, a silly, quirky sci-fi comedy adventure story. But yeah, I mean the structure is pretty simple. Like I said, it's a small cast. It's the two lead characters are the agents, and it's, you know, a sort of a small number of like side actors and guest stars and stuff who orbit around them in different episodes and stuff. But yeah, it was made to be very like digestible and internet viewable. So very short 5-minute episodes, something that you can watch, on the way to work or while you're having lunch or something like that. So it was very much designed to be a web series, kind of digestible series like from the start.
Right. So I can tell you, I like that I have sort of the insight as somebody that watched everything, right? And when we watched Illuminagents, I just remember Zerelda, our program director, unfortunately, she's not going to get here until later this afternoon going, I don't even know what to say. Like, we were both like, we need to watch this again, like to take this in, because I was like, I can't wait to talk to Herman about this. And now I just happen to be doing this. So where did the idea for that, like, why did you decide to do that? Because we know you from the Spell Tutor, your other series that's been in the festival a few times, different seasons. So how did you decide to take this on? And was that based on Harry Potter, that one?
The Spell Tutor was.
Right, okay. So how did you decide on this?
Yeah, just to carry forward your previous comment there, just because we have, at the end of every episode, we have the learning module.
Right, I love it.
And the actress from that, actually, Lorraine Denkers, is from the Spell Tutor. She was Professor Caltain. But she told me that, because we just did all of her voice recording in one day.
Wow.
Because she told me that while she was rehearsing for it, she was like, sitting at home reading it, and her husband walked in the room and said, "What the fuck
what are you
reading?"
doing? Yeah.
But yeah, the Spell Tutor we did for 4 seasons, and that was, like, as you say, it was based on Harry Potter. So because of that, like, it was fun to do, and it kind of gave us a little bit of an edge in publicity because people were interested because we had access to the Harry Potter fandom. But in another way, it was restricted because it was based on someone else's IP. We couldn't really run with it in any way. I mean, it was made as a non-profit kind of fan film kind of thing. So when that concluded, I did want to do something that would be more more original and more something that we could, if we wanted to monetize or kind of do with as we please because it was our property. So it's just for me, the conspiracy theories and their effect on social discourse is kind of it's a hot button topic for me, and I wanted to do something that wouldn't be preachy and wouldn't be kind of a direct attack, but just something that would be fun for people to watch, but also kind of just get them thinking about conspiracy theories more than a direct approach would.
The learning module at the end, how did you decide to do this? So did you research those models and realize, or not models, but like where the origins of conspiracy theories, or were you making some of that up?
A lot of it, like, basically, I mean, I did research in the way that conspiracy theories do.
Like where
they find stuff on the internet.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, we try to incorporate like real. Like, it is based on real conspiracy theories, and we do try to incorporate some of the real explanations that some people have about that. So yeah, I mean, some of it is based on real sort of thoughts on what those conspiracy theories are, and then some of it is just kind of made up stuff that's just a joke or making fun of making fun of the actual idea or whatnot. But I mean, some of it's a combination of stuff that's actually out there, which essentially is public domain, and some of it is just creatively filling in the blanks to make it amusing and fun for people to watch.
Right, and that's cool that you decided to add the animation during that as well, like in the description.
I mean, we wanted the show to have 3 different elements, sort of the narrative action element, and then also the vlog element, because every once in a while we'll cut to Agent Mason doing her daily vlogs, and then have the anime. I just wanted to have a kind of a mix of different things to kind of appeal, so that we had something that would at least appeal to everybody, hopefully.
What I love about it too is that they could have been 25 long minutes, right? Like, you really could have, I feel like you had the self-awareness to make it short and sweet, but pack a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So now I'm coming to James Stewart, St. James, as his hat says. So we screened Chateau Laurier the first season in, I think, 5 years, for our 5th anniversary. And so now you're back with season 2. Now, if memory serves me correct, it was on a much smaller scale. Is that right? It was still beautiful and cinematic, but I remember there being a lot less characters. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was smaller. It was 3 times 3 minute episodes, so it was very small. It was just free on Facebook. It was just kind of, we just put it out there to try to find an audience, and it did very well, and allowed us to get some funding for the second season, which is 6 times 10 minutes.
Right.
available on Apple TV and Amazon as a buy or download. Please do.
So let's talk about, so season 2, you knew it was gonna be bigger and better because of the funding, or did you already have an idea of what you wanted to do for season 2? Cause it is spectacular to watch.
Yeah, we went after the funding, and then, you know, as we got into that, in Canada there's different agencies that will fund digital series, short form digital series. So when we start going down that road, we started writing it and deciding what we would do and what the arc was for the second season. And Bruce Gregg, who plays the older Mr. Muchmore, had passed away, sadly, right before we launched the first season. So he would have wanted us to kill him, so we did kill him in the opening episode.
Spectacular.
Spoiler alert.
Spectacularly, yeah.
He gets killed in the opening scene. He would have been entertained by that. So
That's nice.
then we went down the road of funding to see how much we could get, and then we just kind of grew it from there as we could, depending on the budget.
Now tell us about making a period piece in the age of web series. Like, what is that process like when you apply for? Are they interested? Are the funding agencies interested in something like that, or?
Yeah, they are or they aren't, depending
Right.
on who they are. So
Right.
So in Canada, we're very fortunate. There's about 5 agencies, government funded and otherwise privately funded agencies that will give you money for digital series because they believe in it. And
Right.
so we're very fortunate. But each one has a different mandate. So you it's always hit and miss, even though you try to skew your pitch proposal to each one. You know, sometimes people run the table and get all of them. It's kind of rare, but
Wow.
normally we applied for 4 and we got 2.
Okay.
So then you just retool what you're planning to do or how long you're going to shoot or what you're doing based on, you know, how much money you can raise.
And I will, I'm asking this to both of you, but I'll ask you first. So then what is the experience, you know, obviously I know that there's funding in Canada, as we are all from Toronto. What is the experience when you're either trying to get funding and then trying to move the project forward after that, like being Canadian, and then also both of your projects are on the international scene in the States, and I know New Zealand as well. I know
Yeah.
more, but I just know that that's happening this weekend. So what is that process like where you're trying to get funding and then trying to figure out what happens with the project afterwards?
Okay, well in our case, because it's a period drama, it's never going to be an easy or inexpensive thing to do,
Right.
or you know, zero budget thing to do kind of thing. So we applied to a bunch of them. We got a couple, and I feel a lot of gratitude that we are able to do that in Canada, because people, you know, outside of a couple countries in Europe, I know in the U.S. everyone
Australia
self-funds.
too.
Yeah,
there's
Australia too.
Australia has some funding. So I feel very grateful, but having said that, it's extremely difficult to get the funding.
Right.
Like it's literally, I did one recently, it's like 75 documents submitted on a portal. It's weeks and weeks of real work, creating
Right.
documents and budgets and, you know, synopses, and you have to have your scripts, and it's very very tough to do the application, and then there's about 150 applicants per agency per round, and they give out 10,
Mm-hmm.
so it's extremely competitive. So in our case, I think because it's a period drama, people either immediately love it or hate it.
Right.
And so we hit 2 that loved it and thought it was a great idea. And because we could show success with the first season, because it had won some awards and it was nominated for a Canadian Screen Award, which is kind of like our Emmys, and it had a good festival run, we were kind of able to hit that benchmark of success in the web series world, whatever that is to you. And so then we got the funding, did the show, and then now I've gone out on the festival circuit. So I'm not sure exactly your question. The process is, you know, Film Freeway, and you submit to all the
So now that it's in the festival circuit, I know you're still in the thick of it. Then what are you hoping to achieve after that? Or like, is it something that you go back to Canada and figure something out, or you know what I'm saying, or you try to sell it internationally, like?
Well, in our case, the process is try to win awards, try to get some downloads on Apple and Amazon Prime. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. please buy a rent.
Yeah, look into
Please
the
buy a
camera.
rent. So just to get some buzz, to get some reviews, to get
Right.
some media, it's very hard to get any of those things. So we're very grateful to be here even. But we've had a pretty good run. I can't complain. And in our case, the idea is to get hit a level of success where we can go back to the same funders and say fund us again, and the others who didn't, and maybe skew differently this time for them, and then distribute the film, the show, to try to get some kind of revenue, and then also pitch it as a bigger show. We would love to get it picked up by a streamer or a broadcaster, or some of those other Roku type things. So we're kind of in that game. It's very difficult, obviously, to get a show into it.
I know we were joking about it earlier, but how has that experience been like, putting it on Apple and Amazon?
It's not bad. There's not huge revenue. It takes a huge amount of lifting to get revenue, and there are some success stories of people that have huge revenue from iTunes. It's now called Apple TV. They've fortunately confused everybody and branded everything as Apple TV, so that you can find it on Apple TV. It's a buy or rent, but you need a massive amount of media attention to get that, and it's so hard in this day and age.
Okay, it's 1:52. So I will go to Herman. And what is your series? Season 1. This is season 1, yeah?
Yeah, what was screened here was season 1, yeah. And like James said, yeah, the funding is a very difficult process, and I actually opted not to do that. Like, our concept's fairly small, and it can be done on a fairly cheap budget. So the first season is entirely self-funded by my production company. So basically, it simplified things for us, because we knew the exact amount of funding we have.
Right.
We didn't have to wait for third parties. So there's basically, we could schedule and plan it basic, knowing that with the production, with my production company's funding, this is what we can do, and so we just went ahead and did it. It simplified the process, and it ended up being a smaller budget than if we had decided to go a funding route. But I did want to just get the first season done. So that was kind of the route I took for that. And the idea here is, just to get the first season done, get kind of the buzz, as James saying. And James is being modest, because he's currently far and away the #1 spot on the Web Series World Cup right now. So. But just getting notoriety like that, making a name for ourselves on the Web Series World Cup, and right now, I mean, the goal is just to keep making more of it, and just see if we can get some traction with it. So I mean, we have filmed a lot of season 2 now.
Oh, great.
We
shot it during this year, and just kind of continue on with that, and just keep the cycle going.
Nice.
One thing I'd add is, so the funding in Canada takes about a year to do the circuit of these 4 or 5 funders, because they all have different deadlines and different criteria, and it's a very serious process. It's like dealing with the IRS,
right?
Because it's government funded. So there's a full audit. Like, the good news is they're giving you the money. The bad news is you have to spend the money certain ways. You can't just put it in your pocket and go to Cuba.
I get overwhelmed with the thought of all it overwhelms me.
It's like you're funding a movie with private funding. Like, it's the exact same process. So the good news is there's money, and if you do hit all of them, there are $1 million web series in Canada.
Yeah.
But that's the good news. The bad news is you're just going to pay everybody. Like, it's not like you can't pay yourself half.
Yeah, it's not revenue.
It's not like a private enterprise where you can just pay yourself whatever you want.
Right.
It's like, here's the budget. If you change a line item, you have to explain to them why you're over, under, and then there's a full audit. So it's not like, it's not like.
In the end, it seems almost like the funding, like the purpose of it is more to like to generate like employment and work in the film industry,
right?
Which sounds like it's doing very well.
Yeah.
And in Herman's case, it's way more efficient to just self-fund it, because then you can just go and do it.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to wait a year, and then even after a year, you can have no funding, and then you've just kind of wasted a year. So.
And it depends. I mean, like, yours can. Not to knock it, but I don't think yours can be done self-funded. Really, it is a bigger. Like, ours is a small. It's a small concept by comparison, and so it's more easily done in a short, cheap cheaper format. Yeah, it depends on the idea.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We really appreciate you and your projects, my fellow Canadians. Nice to see you again, darling.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. I'm
Great
glad
to be here.
the only times I've ever moderated panels over the years was my fellow Canadians. Nobody else. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.